camera on? Yeah, it is on. It's on. Hello, Ignorant. This is your boy coming at you with the first video of today's game. The Philadelphia Eagles and Washington Redskins, or the Washington football team that they call themselves. As you guys can quite see, there's not a smile on my face because the Eagles let a 17-point lead in the first half get away from them in the second half by the Washington football team who beat us by 10 points, 27 to 17. The Eagles ain't had no more chances to score in the second half because the fact is the offensive line ain't been able to block for Carson Wentz. The guy got sacked 8 times by I'm not going to say a mediocre defensive line, but I'm going to go ahead and say an unproven defensive line. But after what I saw today, the Washington Redskins defensive line might just be as good as what people are saying or what people are not saying. But Wentz got hit, got sacked, got popped, got knocked down. I mean, so many ways that the Washington Redskins had hit him on several occasions. They came up the middle more on him than anything. But you can also look at the side defensive ends. They were crashing in, coming in on Carson Wentz. They then got a couple of knocked balls out of his hands, with the last ball being a fumble when it was a sack, a fumble, and a fumble recovered by the Washington defensive line, what they ran by 20 yards, and they wound up getting the go-ahead score 27 points, and they beat them by 10 points. You know what I'm saying? The Eagles ain't been able to score in none of this game whatsoever, but they go on in the second half. The first half, they only had 17 points, and you would think that they would run away with the game, but that wasn't the case. I've been reading a lot of people on social media and what they're saying about the Philadelphia Eagles loss. Y'all got to understand this. There were no preseason games. A lot of players didn't get played or didn't practice one. So it's a bunch of miscommunication overall on the Eagles' offensive line of the football game. But if you look at this way also, the Eagles have lack of depth at the offensive line possession. The depth is, it's weak depth. They let 2 or 3 guys go in free agency, and one guy they traded this past offseason, you know what I'm saying, to another team for a draft pick. But you got to look at it, you got to understand, when you ain't got no depth at the offensive line position, teams are going to pin their ears back and come back after you. So that's what the Washington Redskins did defensively. They got some linebacker blitzes, they got safety blitz, they got all kind of blitz coming all different directions against the Eagles offensive line. They had bad protection. They only one good play came out of it, and when he threw for 200 some yards, 2 touchdowns, but the 2 interceptions it was costly, and the 1 fumble that he also lost, that was the most costly of all of them, because 2 interceptions is fine, but when you fumble the ball on the field of play, and the offensive and defensive line of the opposing team picks up and run the other way and get 15-20 yards to put their team in good position to score, that can cause you to lose some games. So then we missed the field goal kick, which probably would have made the difference. You know what I'm saying? Elliott missed from, I think, between 50 and 53 yards, and the record is 6-1. So he had the leg to kick the ball long shot, but somehow he wound up missing this ball, and then wound up hitting the goalpost and bounced out the other way. So that was an incomplete kick. And I say this all the time. I'm gonna keep saying this. When your kicker misses the kick, that's considered a turnover, because you put the opposing offense in good field position to score, and that what got them the 14, I think it was 17-14. That what got them their second score of the game. You know what I'm saying? And that's how we lost. That's how we pretty much lost the game. Special teams did their best in corralling on the punt and kick returns, but the kick is not what done us in. The fumble is what done us in. And and there's nothing much more I really can say about the Philadelphia Eagles, because right now we're lacking depth at the offensive line position, and we might be lacking some depth on the defensive line as well, because BG got hit pretty hard on the field of play, so he might have a concussion because he didn't come back in the fourth quarter of the game because he got hit in the third, but didn't come back in the fourth quarter also. His injury might be serious, and see, this is why the coronavirus has put a stamp of approval on this on the entire game for all opposing teams. Some teams practice together and mesh well. With this Eagles offensive line didn't mesh well, and this Eagles defensive line didn't mesh well. And I can't. Well, I'm gonna say the coronavirus played in part because the simple fact is that with a preseason game, because the preseason games creates what they call unity. It creates unity among players and creates chemistry. The Eagles didn't have no chemistry on this offensive line of the football game. So I'm not gonna say defense. Defense did their part. Only with the exception of BG getting knocked out in the third quarter coming to the end. That's the only thing that hurts on defensive side of football is BG getting knocked out. And one, most importantly, is the lack of a running game. Now, I've also had to say this on Facebook too. The Washington football team have made the Eagles one-dimensional. They contain our running game. Miles Sanders didn't play today. You know what I'm saying? I hope he come back next week, but what they're saying he could come back as early as week 3. So they can gather battle another team to win, to get within 1-1, to at least have preparation for some of these guys to come back off the injury reserve. You know what I'm saying? So wide receivers did the best they could. Tight end did the best they could. Only thing that bothers me is that the Washington football team made us one-dimensional. They contained the run game, and so Carson Wentz was forced to pass the ball more than what he should have, and that will cost us our game. A lot of people are saying Carson Wentz is to blame. It ain't Carson Wentz. You can't put the blame on Carson Wentz. You want to put the blame on the offensive line and the protection schemes. The protection schemes were completely thrown off because they kept putting in players that didn't create chemistry with Jason Kelce and the play calling. That was the problem. They had Mayada, I forgot the boy, Mayada or whatever his name is, they put him in because Jeff Driscoll got hurt from what I've been told. And I hope his injury ain't serious because he might be needed again between now and week 3. And look like he may be the only one that gained some chemistry or some playing time, because the more snaps you get, the better your play time increase. So I hope his injury ain't it's not serious wet. I pray hope that BG injury is not serious as well. But if it's a concussion, he gonna be out for at least 3 weeks, and that's gonna hurt our defensive line right there. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, there's a lot of blame to go around, but I'm not gonna blame no one on this football game. I'm only gonna blame the offensive line because the offensive line did not protect Wentz good enough for him to complete balls. So, but Wentz, on the other hand, need to get better at getting rid of the football when there's no play, when there's no play or no players downfield to catch the ball. That's what led to most of those 8 sacks, because see, they were coming up the middle on this man, because like I said, no protection. When the play call go out, the offensive line is supposed to follow every play call. But they didn't do it in this game because the fact is they kept coming up the gut on Carson Wentz. They were in this man's face in all 8, well, in the entire game. They've been faced the entire game. You know what I'm saying? And so when your opportunities come for the opposing defensive line, which what the Washington football team had done, they created every opportunity. They got 8 sacks, they got 2 interceptions, and they even recovered a fumble. So all of that plays well with the Washington football team because they did their part. We can't blame Washington. We can't blame the Eagles. But one man does come to blame. One man. And that's Howie Roseman. Howie Roseman should have known that you need more offensive line, because when offensive line goes down, you gotta have someone to replace the player that goes down, and we do not have no offensive line player to back up the one that's on the starting front line. I blame Howie Roseman on that right there. You know what I'm saying? And for the last 2 or 3 years, the Eagles roster has been shitty at best. And how do you expect to compete in games when you don't have no lack of players backing up other players? Like I said earlier in this video, the Eagles have had players that they could have kept, but they let them go via free agency or they traded players. And Vitae is with another football team now, and then they let one guy had left. He went to the Pittsburgh Steelers, and he's still starting right tackle. So that guy been gone for almost 4 years now. So it just goes to show that there may be some problems up there in the front office when it comes to bringing in players, signing players, you know what I'm saying, and getting the right player to mesh with the other players on the team. It's all about chemistry, and chemistry hurt the offensive line today, because the Eagles' defensive line been out on the field more than what they should have. Like I said, the 2 interceptions and the fumble recovery put the defense right back on the field after they done went 3 and out with the opposing team. So the blame goes on Howie Roseman. That's just how I feel about it, and it's a shame for me to say this as a Philadelphia Eagle fan, but this is my 40th year with this team, and I can't be even more proud to be a part of one team for as long as I have. We got one Super Bowl, but that Super Bowl is not out the window. You know what I'm saying? We can dwindle on memories as much as we want to, but memories are the past. You gotta get your mind out the past and focus on the present and the future. And from what I'm seeing right now, our present is looking mighty dim when it comes to lack of offensive line depth, players getting hurt, quarterbacks getting sacked 8 times. Need I mind you? The forced fumble recovery that led to a sack and a recovery and a fumble by the opposing team, the Washington football team. So hands goes off to the Washington football team, because they did their part to come back from 17 down and beat us by 10 points, 27-17. So the hand goes to them. You can't be mad at the Washington Redskins. You only can be mad at the organization for the lack of offensive line depth. Now the question remains, is Lane Johnson going to be well enough to come back to play in week 2? Is Jason Peters going to be healthy enough to play the rest of the season after getting a new contract, new restructured contract that went from $3 million to now $7 million for the season to play right tackle. You know what I'm saying? So something got to change between now and week 2, because now at least we come back home to play. So that could be huge dividends. But the question remains: do we have the offensive line to compete with the opposing team? Because now there's film out of how the Washington football team beat us. You don't think teams ain't gonna look at that film real carefully and do the same thing that Washington has done to us? You don't think that people are gonna look at this organization and figure out who is creating this depth for the Eagles to continue playing with? And most importantly, the play calling. You can't put the play calling on the coach, because the players have to go out and execute on defense, offense, and special teams. So you can't put no fault on the play calling. The play calling falls on the players. The players have to execute. And so no execution, lack thereof, in this loss for the Washington football team, who beat us fair and square 27-17. So with me making this video, I hope next video will be a better one. I'm going to go ahead and end this on a high note. I could go low, but I'm going to stay high. We got to win. Got to get the running game going because that's what hurt us, the run game. When you don't have no run game, you become one-dimensional, and teams can pin their ears back defensively and come after the quarterback. And this is what they've done all game long. Washington Redskins was rushing 4. They didn't even have to blitz. They even had 3-man fronts and got pressure on Carson Wentz. Matter of fact, that sack from the recovery was a 3-man rush. And so when you get a 3-man rush, and those 3 guys can put pressure on the quarterback with the 3 guys, and with the others 8 guys out in coverage, something's definitely wrong there. So something got to change. Howie Roseman, I put the blame on you, bro, because you should have read into what we need on the offensive side of football. Wide receivers good, running game good. It's the lack of offensive line depth. You put guys in that didn't have chemistry with Jason Kelce and the rest of the offensive line. So, because the teams, opposing defensive line coach and defensive coordinators know that. So where they see the weaknesses, that's where they're going to come. And they came on the Eagles' weaknesses up the middle, on the right side and left side all game long. They even came on the sides and got to this man. So, I mean, I'm not really knowing much more that I can say on this game, but all I know we lost this game 27-17. Washington football team, they beat us fair and square. I don't know how many times I can say that. So this is your boy, the Green Talents, coming at you guys. I wish I had my mask on, but my mask on in the closet. Maybe in next football game or next video, I'll have something better for you guys. But other than that, the Green Talent coming at you guys. Peace, one love.